As you work through different business process improvement initiatives, one of the things that you're definitely going to want to do is to keep track of your progress. What I'm going to do in this lecture is show you 3 examples of the documentation that I keep. I'll also have this available so you can download if you'd like to read through it or use it as a template for documenting your own successes. The first document I have here is an overview of the work that I've done at the last few organizations I've worked at. Here I have a navigation panel. It's easy to read. So Saventia, South Mill Shire. And at Saventia, I had done a lot of work, and it's my most recent example. So this one has the most detail. What I recommend doing if you're going to keep track of your savings and progress in Word is to utilize the heading features. So heading 1 is the top title, and the subtitles are heading 2, and that's how you get this look here. And what you want to do is use the heading 2 to document all the sub-projects, these major sub-projects that you've worked on. As you can see here, I really focus on trying to document who did what and by when. The who, of course, is me, but for metrics and keeping track of progress, people want to know that what you had done is measurable and had a real impact. There's a lot of people who claim to be experts who kind of just hang around, the good people, don't get me wrong, but what did they do? So that's what this document will help you do. It'll help show that you are not just a talker, you're a doer. And you're not just a doer, you're a leader. You can lead teams, you can lead the organization to building a better world. Pretty exciting stuff. As you go through and put your documentation together, I highly recommend that you keep each of your bullet points concise and easy to read and scan. You don't want to write a whole paragraph. Summarize the key points, what it is that wasn't working, what you did to fix it, and what's the overall impact of the organization. If you can, also add some details to explain maybe how long the project took. So for me at Saventia, I worked a lot on the SAP system to get things reconfigured, to add new functionality, fix old issues, and then to do a zero-based budget. Saventia, I also implemented Power BI. I have a few lectures in this course that go into that project in more detail, explaining the ups and downs. But overall, we taught ourselves Power BI and used it to automate Excel processes once we rebuilt them. So real quick, I have a couple of bullet points to explain that. However, for this, I have a few examples with screenshots further down below. Another system we worked on was called Maestro to track dairy components. And then my other experiences, I keep them short and sweet, just highlight the major big achievements. So that's someone just read through, see that you have experience, you know what you're talking about, and that you can lead this sort of thing. Real quick is my Power BI examples. So when you can, I think it's pretty effective to include some images. You can say I created an amazing dashboard. You should have seen it, but that's not so easy. If you have a picture, the saying goes it can speak a million words. So here's one of our dashboards. Another's down below. I think there's a third, and there it is. Short, sweet, and it's scannable. And what I use this for then is as I look to branch out my career and find other opportunities, maybe other job roles, I bring this to the interviews and I send this to hiring managers. And that, along with your resume, gets you to the top of the stack. It's a really great way to stand out. So document your achievements. The next document I'm going to show here is a lot more detailed. This document serves to document in a lot more detail what I did at my last role at Saventia. Because it was a last role and I had done a large amount of work, I detailed a quick summary to say what the biggest bullet points were, what it is we achieved, what the different work streams were that we accomplished. And then down below, I have sort of like a timeline of what happened. In some of these paragraphs and bullet points, I explain the problem. I explain what we did. I explain not just start and finish. I put the story together. And what I used this document for wasn't so much for job interviews, but to keep the executives in the organization informed on what I was doing. They could see that I was making progress. I was adding updates. They could then use this to answer any type of questions that maybe their bosses had. And this is a great way to gain support, because if an executive just asks you what you're working on, it's really hard to keep it all in your head. But if you can document it, it helps you get your story straight and memorize it better and kind of put your elevator pitch together. I'm not going to go through each one, but I did the same approach as in the other document. I used heading 1 and heading 2 for the sub projects. There's a lot more detail in this document. It's 10 pages. I have screenshots. I have a lot of project summaries. I have descriptions of what we did and by when. This also served to help the organization keep track of things that other teams could use. Here I have a lot of technical information on different reports. So then I could share this, say, with a supply chain team if I'm in finance, and they could also understand what I did, so they're not reinventing the wheel themselves. The third and final piece of documentation that I like to keep is an Excel spreadsheet that monetizes the savings and the impact that you've had. In a Word document, it's not so easy to add up all the figures and to say exactly this plus this equals this. There's a lot more detail, and then the Excel spreadsheet then is what you use to say, here's the hours, here's the dollars, here's what we did. And it's super impactful, it's easy to present, and it's easy to share. When I decided I was going to leave the last organization, I included this in my package along with my resume, and it's got a lot of great attention. So no matter what you're doing, if you're doing something in business process improvement, keep track of it. If you're having a difficult time trying to really track or understand the savings, maybe look for projects that have more of an impact. There's a lot of things that can't be quantified, but if you discuss it with different teams, they can also help you come up with a number. And the key then is to get agreement around that number. This isn't Ben saying 100 hours, 100 hours, 100 hours. These are numbers that I've talked through with different people and I have buy-in for. And then down here at the bottom, you can see on a monthly and per annual basis what we achieved. So keep your summaries in Excel format and in Word format, and they'll really help you along in your career as you progress and add more of these projects to your achievement list.